Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And it is shortly after the 6 p.m. hour. We're back in the Assembly Hall at 901 Main Street in the heart of Old Town Conyers. This is our second millage rate hearing for this 2024 year. So we are calling our meeting to order. And at this time, we will have a presentation from our CFO.
Good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
you, Chairman Nesbitt, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Washington.
Good evening.
I'm glad to be here. I'd like to begin tonight with a brief video that explains the 2024 proposed millage rate.
Okay.
What is the millage rate? Well, simply put, it is what you owe in taxes on your property. Each mill represents $1 of $1,000 in property value. Now, although the county would be keeping the same millage rate from last year, the state still views it as a tax increase because property values are going up, which is good news for residents who plan on selling their property in the near future since the property value and home equity have increased. To help lower your tax bill, the homestead exemption and the homestead option sale tax, also known as HOST, can be applied to that amount. So, for instance, if your house is valued at $100,000, you would owe approximately $747.60 in taxes. But with both the homestead and HOST exemptions applied, you only owe an estimated $225.31. Similarly, if your house is valued at $350,000, you would owe approximately $2,616.60. After applying both the homestead and HOST exemptions, you would only owe an estimated $1,126.54. So where exactly do these dollars go?
For every dollar paid on your property tax bill on a homesteaded property, which also receives the host exemption in Rockdale County, the county receives approximately 18% or 18 cents that go toward county maintenance and operation. Let me repeat that. The county receives approximately 18% or 18 cents for maintenance and operation. 4% or 4 cents goes toward the stormwater maintenance fee. The remaining 78% or 78 cents goes toward the school system, which sets its own millage rate. The 18 cents from each dollar funds public safety, general government, court services, recreation, and transportation, which are all included in the general fund. We want to hear from you, so be sure to come out to one of the 3 public millage rate hearings. The first one will be held on Tuesday, July 23rd at 10 a.m. in the Assembly Hall located at 901 Main Street. The second one will take place on Tuesday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. in the Assembly Hall located at 901 Main Street. And the last public hearing will take place on Tuesday, July 30th at 10 a.m. in the Assembly Hall located at 901 Main Street. Following the public hearings, the Board of Commissioners will hold a called meeting to set the millage rate on Tuesday, August 6th at 10 a.m. in the Assembly Hall located at 901 Main Street. We certainly hope this helps you understand the millage rate better, and we are looking forward to seeing you at the upcoming public hearings. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Finance Department and Public Relations for that video. Very
Yes.
informative and educational there.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to take a moment to go over a brief presentation that echoes the illustrated presentation that just was before you. Rockdale County Board of Commissioners, this is the presentation of the proposed millage rate for the 2024 tax year. Next slide, please. On this slide, you'll see the budget allocation or breakdown. This is the FY 2024 General Fund Budget Summary. Of that, 42% goes to public safety, 38% to general government, 10% to court services, 5% to parks and rec, and 5% to transportation. Next slide, please. Here we will see a tax digest history. This history spans from 2013 to 2024, and it shows the increase in the digest that goes with the trend that we see with properties. Next slide, please. This is the millage rate history. Again, historically showing from 2013 to 2024. As you can see, the millage rate in 2013 was at 20.7%. We are proposing 18.69 for 2024, which is in line with 2022 and 2023. Next slide, please. This is an overall property tax allocation, which includes a stormwater fee. What this is an illustration of what you will see, the breakdown on your 2024 property tax bill that has both the homestead exemption and the host tax credit. For every dollar that's on your tax bill, 78% or 78 cents goes to school maintenance and operation, 18% or 18 cents goes to county maintenance and operation, and 4% goes to the stormwater fee. Next slide, please. This is a property tax calculation, and this is sample estimated property tax calculation based on the 18.69. For property valued at $100,000 in 2024, the estimated taxes without an exemption would be $747.60. The estimated property tax with the homestead exemption and the host tax credit would be $225.31. We're going to give another example of a property that is assessed at $350,000. Without any exemptions, the estimated property tax on that property would be $2,616.60. But when you put the homestead exemption and the host tax credit into effect, the estimated property tax is $1,126.54. As you can see, there's a substantial savings when you have a homestead exemption and a host tax credit. Next slide, please. This slide shows again the proposed millage rate of 18.69, which is the same millage rate we had last year. Our revenues will come in at $120,246,555. Of that, $85,267,490 is property taxes, and $34,979,065 is non-property taxes. Examples of non-property taxes include sales tax, charges for services, fines and forfeitures, and investment income. Next slide, please. And we thank you for joining us tonight at our second public hearing. We had one this morning at 10 a.m. We had one that we are currently in at 6 p.m. Our next one is scheduled for July 30th at 10 a.m. and the setting of the millage rate is scheduled for August 6th at 10 a.m. All of these hearings will be held here at 901 Main Street. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. At this time, I thank Executive Director Rutledge and Executive Director Mills. We're moving right into public comment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Madam Commissioners, we are moving into the public comment section of this public hearing. And tonight, each speaker that fills out a red comment card, which are coming around if you haven't already picked one up, will be allocated 3 minutes per speaker. Please keep your comments relative to the millage rate. Thank you.
All right, I'll go ahead. I think we've got another one being filled out, but I'll go ahead and call up the first speaker, Ms. Charlotte Gillard.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I hope my voice holds out. It's a little croaky. After the first quarter of 2024, with the approved budget of almost $111 million, the county's expenses are at 80.27% of that. At the end of the first quarter, the ideal remaining percentage is 75%. So therefore, right now, as at the end of March, all the departments are under budget. If that continues the rest of the year, I hope you would be able to lower the millage rate. The notice in the newspaper says that the proposed 18.69 millage would generate $97.5 million. The slide showed that only $85.3 million would be generated from property taxes. So which is correct? There's $12 million difference in that. With a total projected revenue for 2024 of $120,246, when the budget is only $111 million. So I liked what Commissioner Washington said this morning about considering lowering the millage rate. If you can't take the rollback, lower it. Go to 18, go to 17 and a half, whatever. And also, is this gross digest total, is that with or without the appeal values? Because I had heard there's a record number of appeals that were filed this year on property assessments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gillett, and thank you for all you do on behalf of the citizens. Next up is Ms. Beasley. Come on up, Ms. Beasley.
Good afternoon, my
Good
fellow tax-paying residents here in Rockdale. I live in Mountain View Estates subdivision, a community along with others being taxed on the destruction of our homes and the land that we sit on. I heard a statement from you this morning, Ms. Washington, asking to roll back the millage rate for the people. But when I looked you up on Q Public, I didn't see any property listed for you. So you're not understanding our struggles. I also looked up you, Mr. Nesbitt. Did not see anything on Q Public. You do not understand our struggles. I also heard from Ms. Williams, who does have property here in Rockdale, whose estimated taxes in 2022 was $508.20. Mind you ask, $3,782.62. Ms. Williams in 2023, $580.20. Mind you ask, $4,481.49. Ms. Williams in 2024, it was a whopping $1,668.92. Again, mind you ask, $5,575. Please explain to me how all the wasteful spending of the taxpayers' money is helping the taxpayers. It's not. I'm asking you guys to please roll it back. I have to get another job to be able to pay my mortgage. I have been in Rockdale since 2018. It is not fair to us. If you are not here taking on this burden that we take on, you should at least consider rolling it back so that we are able to feed our families. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beasley. Thank you so much. Next up is Gail Owens. Ms. Owens.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Gail Owens. I'm a resident here in the city of Conyers and also a business owner in the city of Conyers. So I get taxed from the county and the city, both personal and for my business. So I know all too well about property taxes. I'm here today for a couple of reasons. I'm asking for a rollback on the millage rate, not only because when I built my home here in the city of Conyers back in 2020, I moved here to help take care of my parents, who are both deceased since I've been here in the last 4 years. I've buried them both. My property here was valued at $429,000, and I had appealed and got it locked in for 3 years. This is the first year it came out. I was expecting an increase, $100,000, $200,000 more in assessment. To my surprise, when I got my assessment, mine went from $429,000 to $814,000. My tax bill went from $6,000 to almost $13,000. before homestead. Quick math, that's about $1,000 a month just in property taxes. Not only that, like I said, we have a business here locally, part of the business. I also inherited 10 properties from my father. To touch on what you said, Commissioner Williams, this morning, when you have renters, they're not businesses that we run. My father bought these properties to get homeless people in homes with shelter over their head. These are low-income rental homes that I now have. I've had to evict people because they can't pay the rent. I can't pass increased property taxes onto people that can't afford to pay the rent as it is now. And I have no one paying over $1,000 a month for a 3-bedroom right now. They can't afford it. So I'm having to evict people because they can't pay it now. I can't pass these expenses on to these people and pay repairs and taxes and insurance and everything on these. So I'm having to sell these properties off. So I just ask, if nothing else, take a rollback, like Charlotte said. Take it back to 18, take it back to 17. We need some relief. All of these have been appealed. They were all denied. I have appraisals on every property that I own, and they were all still denied. So I just ask, take that into consideration, see what you can do to help those of us that need a little help to keep people with roofs over their head. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Thank you so much. Mr. George Kellercheck, come on up, Mr. Kellercheck.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, citizens of Rockdale County. 3 simple rules. If you do not go after what you're wanting, you're never going to have it. If you do not ask, the answer will always be no. If you do not step forward, you're always going to stay in the same place. So, yes, I'm here again today to request a reduction in the millage rate. And as you know, from 2018 through 2023, if you pay city, county, and school tax, your net tax increase has gone up 187%, while Social Security has only gone up 23%. And as you know from the Envision Rockdale presentation from this morning, your growth rates are in 18 to 24 and 55 plus. Plain and simple, you're taxing folks out of this county and out of their homes. You know, we talk about, you know, it's great if you sell your home. Well, how about if we want to stay here? You know, what's in it for us? We'd like to stay here, but there's many of us that can't afford it anymore. And I'll take you over to the Envision Rockdale from 2020 to 2024. I was reviewing it again this afternoon. And in the citizen-led project ideas, the largest area of citizen interest was related to infrastructure to reduce failures and assist with economic development. But yet this morning, you all approved a $765,000 bridge to go over the Haynes Creek at Costly Mill, which still has not generated a revenue. I think that needs to be rethought if you can rescind that decision and put that $765,000 into the stormwater budget. Listen to your strategic plan that you developed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kellercheck. Next up is Shan Sledge, I believe. Sledge, come on up, Sledge.
Didn't bring my glasses. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Charles Sledge, and I stand before you today to voice my opposition to maintaining the current millage rate. Keeping the millage rate unchanged, given the rise in property values, will effectively result in higher taxes for our residents. This silent tax increase is both unjust and unnecessary. First, our communities are already feeling the economic pressures of inflation and rising cost of living. Increasing the tax burden on our residents will only exacerbate these financial strains, forcing many to make difficult choices regarding their household budgets. We must consider the impact on families, particularly those with fixed income who cannot afford additional expenses. Secondly, maintaining the current millage rate without adjusting for increased property values is a covert tax hike. Transparency and honesty in governance requires that we acknowledge this fact. If additional revenue is generally needed, the discussion should be clear and direct, allowing for an informed decision by the community. Moreover, I don't have my glasses, are told that this additional revenue will benefit our school system, which is currently failing. However, despite previous tax increases, we have not seen the promised improvements in educational outcomes. Simply pouring more money into a broken system is not the solution. We need accountability and a strategic plan to ensure any funds are used effectively to truly enhance our children's education. Additionally, homeowners in our community are losing their homes because they cannot keep up with the rising property taxes. This is a tragic consequence of maintaining the current millage rate. People who have lived in their homes for decades are being forced out, disrupting lives and weakening the fabric of our neighborhoods. Lastly, there are alternative solutions. We should explore cost-cutting measures, seek efficiencies in current spending, and prioritize projects to ensure, such as that bridge, to ensure that taxpayer money is used effectively. Increasing the tax burden should be a last resort, not the first response. In conclusion, I urge you to reject keeping the millage rate the same. Let's protect our residents from unnecessary financial hardship, demand accountability and improvement from our school system, and ensure our community remains a place where everyone can afford to live and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ledge. Thank you so much. I think that concludes all of the public comment. Sure, if you get a card, yes, ma'am, you can absolutely go. Sure, yes.
I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Corliss Turner.
Hi, my name is Corliss Turner. I'm the founder of Voices for Rockdale, but I'm also a tax-paying citizen. And I don't have anything prepared, but off the top of my head, I have a pretty good memory. The county has spent money unnecessarily. There are retreats in the amount of $78,000 that have been spent, going to 4-star and 5-star hotels. The last retreat in Macon, the employees stayed 2 nights. You stayed in a totally different hotel for 3 nights. RDOT has a machine, a paving machine, that they've been paying $10,300 and some odd dollars for every month since January 2023. We have had lawsuits, unnecessary lawsuits. You voted yourself a raise in February, 38%. You just got a raise from the legislators in July of 16.5. Just because the value goes up and additional revenue is received, it doesn't mean that you have to take it all. You say shop the rock and you go somewhere else and shop. Then you say that you hear us, but do you really hear us or do you really care about us? Now these are some honest some questions, because it doesn't reflect in your action. With this increase in revenue, why can't you split it down the middle and give something back to us? There was just a news release from the school that we are considered high poverty. Okay, I'll send you the bill number and I will be posting that. So there's evidence. Not only are the citizens telling you, but the government is telling you, we need help. And if we can't come to you for help, then who can we come to? It makes, I have watched and been to many meetings, and costly meal. You can really build a bridge and you all don't even use that. You got a $1.5 million event center that you built where you could have had retreats. In 2022, when you had it there, it was $1,200. That was something that the local businesses could have catered for, but then you go right across town in Peachtree City and spend $18,000. You are showing your hand. Do you have a heart? I'm not just talking to you, Chairman. I'm talking to all of you. Sherry, Commissioner Washington, no, you don't live in a home. No, you don't realize property tax. But all the shady stuff that I have seen that you do, this is just who you are.
And thank you, Mr. Turner.
I'll
And
get to you
certainly
later,
appreciate
Doreen.
all that you do on behalf of the citizens of the county. That concludes public comment. We're moving right into a board comment. Commissioner Washington.
Sure. Good evening. So I said my comments this morning, and I will reiterate them this afternoon. One of the things that I've heard from February to June, the end of June, was the need for us to consider how much the property values in this county has increased and take that into consideration when we're setting our millage rate. The people that I've talked to that are supporters of this administration, of me, like I said, if they purchased a home 20 years ago, they anticipated their property values rising. But the people who may have purchased a $300,000 home or a $400,000 home are now being taxed at an $800,000 to $1 million rate. That is something that they had not taken into consideration. That is something that their budgets have not taken into consideration. And as I said earlier, there is inflation. There is a lot of inflation, the rising cost of living. However, they can't go to the grocery store, they can't go to the gas station and ask for relief there. So they're coming to us saying, listen, we would like for you to take consideration that the taxes impact our mortgage, which impact everything for those of us that rent. The taxes impact our rent, and which impact everything that we do. I am asking that we look at we can't do a complete rollback for numerous legal reasons, but we can look at doing something less than this 18.69%. So I'm asking that as a commission, we look at something less than the 18.69.
And Commissioner Williams.
I think every year it comes up that personally I don't pay a lot of property tax. And let me just reiterate again. That is because my husband has 100% VA disability, and that is one of the exemptions that the state offers for disabled veterans. Now, when we owned rental property, we absolutely paid the full price on the rental property. So, and before he had that VA disability rating, we paid our property taxes just like all of you. I have not forgotten that. I know that. I think that every year we have looked very carefully at how we could maintain or lower, and if you'll notice in that presentation in 2020, I think, we went...
2020, 21, we've had 2 complete rollbacks.
We had, yes, 2020 and 2021. We took 2 complete rollbacks. We were in the middle of a pandemic. Things were very unsure, and we did that. Are you shaking your head no? Yeah.
Yes, I'm shaking my head no, because you didn't hear what I said about paying over $124,000 a year for paving equipment that has not been used but 26 hours. Yes, I'm shaking my head no.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we were talking about the rollback rate and some facts.
I'm saying that you all are doing wasteful spending, and it wouldn't be necessary for you to keep this.
You had your time to talk. I asked you if you were talking about the tax increase. Okay, so I think every year we look really carefully at what we can do and what we can't do, and take into consideration the fact that we spend $500,000 having a contract to make sure the grass is cut. We have created a new division with code enforcement and our community improvement team to keep things looking nicer and cleaner in the county. If we eliminate those, we could lower the millage rate. But then we go back to litter everywhere, weeds and high grass and all of that. So it's always a balance of what, and then one of the contracts that we approved today was a 3.5% increase. Every contract we've that has had a change has been an increase of no less than 3.5%. Sometimes it's more. So just like all of us at home, inflation has hit the county also. And so there has to be a balance. But I think it's always important to look very carefully to see if, in fact, there is somewhere we can change and lower this millage rate just a little bit.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I want to say thank you to all of our citizens who came out this evening. All of your comments this evening will certainly be taken into deep consideration. We have one more millage rate hearing, and then we'll be talking about the date that we're going to set. Give us the update.
We do, Mr. Chairman. So the next hearing will be next Tuesday, July 30th at 10 a.m. And then the setting of the millage rate will be the following Tuesday, August 6th at 10 a.m.
So we've heard from Commissioner Washington. We've heard from the citizens. Thank you for coming out. Is there any?
Oh, I have one more comment. I just got the response to it. As far as the pedestrian bridge, that is paid for with impact fees, which is not allowed to be transferred to the general fund. It cannot be transferred to to offset stormwater. It can only be used in parks and recreation.
Thank you, Commissioner.
That's all the business tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. This meeting is adjourned.